to change the background.
Oh, it's cool. I like it that way, Lan.
Your volume is a little bit low on your end, though, Len.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of soft.
Is it
It's
okay?
the way
Hi,
you're a little bit loud. Yeah, can everybody speak up just to test your volume, just so I can hear how you sound?
Hi, I'm Zui.
Yeah, it's the way your volume is also a bit low. So
Oh, a bit low.
yeah, is there a way to turn up a little bit? Amanda, can you say a little bit just so I can hear you?
Hello, hello. Is that good?
Yeah, just
Amanda!
see, Yossi's perfect.
Too loud?
Yeah, he's perfectly loud. That's what we like.
Okay.
Yeah, we like the boisterous. It's supposed to be a fun session, so like we can be boisterously loud.
Great.
So yeah, I'm just using this initial pages just at the beginning, and then I won't use it anymore. But Lan, you know, like you're so the inner of you is a beach.
Yeah,
You're a beach.
I'm trying.
At least you're not a bitch. You're just a beach. It's fine. I'm kidding. Have you guys all met each other? Like, have you met Zue before? Probably not.
Zue, so hi, nice to meet you, Zue.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've never met Amanda, but I've met Yossi and Nan, I think.
Yeah.
Is my volume
good.
okay?
It's better now. Yeah, it's good.
Okay,
It's better now.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So good. Yeah, I hope that everybody else managed. Wow. Your face is now like what? Oh, okay. Are you trying to like establish credibility as the artsy one here? Anyways, okay, it's 5 o'clock, so we should start. Anyways, thank you very much to everybody for being here for our second panel of the day, called "A Taste of What Is to Come," which is the follow-up to the short film omnibus that we cobbled together called same name, "A Taste of What Is to Come," and those are 4 short films by these 4 filmmakers, and they tend to be some of the earlier films of these filmmakers' careers. Amanda's maybe a little bit less so, but the rest I think is definitely the case. So yeah, let's go to introduce the 4 of them. So we'll start clockwise. So when I mention your name, just say a quick hi, and then we'll take this stupid slide off. So first is Pham Ngoc Lan from Vietnam. So he's here now. You can see him, with the beach background in his body. So if you saw the short film compilation, you would have seen his short "Another City," which was his second short film that was in Berlin competition in 2015. So say hi, Lan.
Hello.
And then from Thailand, we have Sorayos Prapapan. His nickname is Yossi. And the first short film that he had that went to a big festival was Bun Rem, that was made in 2013, but went to Rotterdam 2014. So, hi, Yossi.
Hi.
And then we have Rao Ziwei. Yao Ziwei, I think, is it Yao Ziwei, 是吗?
It's Zhao.
Zhao Ziwei. It's always hard because in Taiwan is J is like it's R, so it's always like hard to.
A lot of people have difficulty pronouncing even here. So
yeah, Zhao Ziwei from Singapore, whose first short film is called Outing, that was in San Sebastian competition in 2010. So hi Ziwei.
Hello.
And last but not least, of course, we have Amanda Nell from Malaysia, whose short film "It's Easier to Raise Cattle" was in Venice Horizonte in 2017. So,
Hi.
so yeah. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off now. So, actually, no. I do actually have a whole bunch of shorts. I mean, like kind of like slides here. So, like, why don't I just go into it a little bit? Yeah. So one of the things that was curious to me is, you guys have a lot in common actually, because some of the first things, of course, is that you all started making short films in the early 2010s. For example, you'll see your first short, well, one of the first shorts, because I know that you were making short films even earlier than that. But the first one that you kind of said that it was one of your more professional works was this documentary you made called 110th Year of Pretty Ban. And yeah, I mean, like, so from there, making this docu to Boom Rum, do you think that there's a lot of changes in what you did? I mean, like, because Boom Rum, I think in some ways was the first short that you made, which kind of started to set this trend of this kind of like somewhat sardonic, ironic, kind of like slightly humorous look at Thai, social political issues. So I mean, yeah, how do you describe yourself?
I think the style comes after.
Yeah.
We poor first. That's why, but we poor and we want to make a good film. That's why it was our style. I really serious about it. Yeah, and yeah, and the rest I just like it that way also.
Mm.
The I think like it's like my short film language. Like use like that kind of humor.
Mm.
Everything in the middle or something like that. Like statistic short. Yeah, I don't know that I answer you or not. Something like
Yeah. I mean, like, because Boom Rum, I think, is your first kind of like more professional. It looks like a feature film type. You had some budget into it, right? Whereas maybe a little bit before that, you were kind of like doing more experimental work, more docu. Would you? Yeah, and so that's when you kind of like starting to kind of like have your kind of like your fiction sense. I think, right?
yep.
Yeah. So I think that that's because I mean one of the things that is interesting about all of you is that in many of your first shorts you already show a certain clear like sense of authorship. Like for example, Boom Rum, the one that we showed, I think in many ways doesn't differ that much from the later shorts that you did in terms of its social political angle and also the humor. I think, right? You kind of already had a clear sense of self back in 2013, which is quite rare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I feel a little different from you. I mean, I
Okay.
think Woodlove is my most short. I mean, it's the short film from mine that I feel it like it's quite different from the other in terms of the sense of humor. I mean, the other is like it's more even more. The
Right.
sense of humor in
That's
Woodlove is like very high, and people even say that like if we close the director page name, they don't know who did it, but they just know that it's like someone from Thai independent did it. But I think the athletes they cannot say it anymore because like my voice is there. That some people comment me that, and I I don't against it. I mean I admit it somehow. I mean
okay. I don't know if I totally agree with that because I still see a lot of you in it. It's that I saw actually 110th Year and I saw another short film, the color blindness or something like that. Those I would definitely not know it's from you because I would be like watching those
yeah,
and I'm going, what are these?
that
But
was just in the serious tone back then,
yeah,
10 years
very
ago.
serious. You just to have your serious side, especially when you do the docu stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like Ziwei also, do you kind of feel that outing kind of like even though it's your first film, but in many ways it kind of sets a precedent for the kind of films that you would make later on?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I always wanted to tell stories with just a very, very intimate and very close stories, and also about two people. Most of my films, even the feature, is a story about two people. It's a relationship between a very intense relationship between two people. So I think it all started from outing. Yeah, but also it's very unique to me because actually I didn't start out as wanting to be a director. I just wanted to be a scriptwriter. But when I finished the script for outing and I found that I had envisioned the whole film in my mind, and I thought, why don't I try directing? And I talked to my teachers in the school, in the film school, and they were really against it because they didn't see me as a director. But I'm grateful that they allowed me to finally, after a lot of pressure, they allowed me to direct. And I guess I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, the rest is history because of course later your later shorts even went to Cannes and stuff like that. And there's a yeah, I mean to me for me like your works has a certain kind of spareness to it, and a lot of times you use the environment a lot, and I think that that's one thing that kind of like sets you apart, that makes you like that's your auteur style in many ways, and that you can see easily from Outing already.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I'm very influenced by like filmmakers like Bresson. So I mean, Bresson uses a lot of sound, and I think even when I'm walking outside, when I'm going around, I tend to notice sounds and like traffic, some noises, and I really enjoy that. So I think that adds to the film. I think sound really adds to a film. So
Right.
whenever I write a script, I'm paying a lot of attention to sound. So I even describe almost a lot of sound. A lot of people usually mention that there's a lot of sound in your film. Like you always describe the sound very precisely, like what you want, what you're going to hear. So
Yeah. Yossi himself is a sound,
yeah,
recordist, so he would
yes.
understand that. So let's go to the mysterious one, Lan, because oh sorry, Story of Ones actually was in 2012. You corrected me, but I forgot to correct this. So, but still, like it's kind of similar to the others where you all started making shorts in 2000 and early 2010s, and the Story of Ones is actually a docu, and because your background is in architecture, right? So how did you decide to make this documentary? Because coming from an architecture background, or what how did you start? Yeah.
Uh, so during that time, because I graduated around 2009. So
Mm.
after I graduated, then in Vietnam the economic came down really fast. So at that time, a lot of projects that I joined in at that time just cannot happen. So
Oh.
maybe I can spend times to make something for myself rather than doing something like that later. Trying to be writing something and then at the end just it just come to nowhere. So at that time, then I just try to register to any workshop. I think it seems interesting, and I think maybe at first I think I'm very curious on filmmaking, but I don't know how to start with that because the in 2011 or 2012, and if we do not have camera, I mean the phones and then the like some camera still very expensive for me. So I need to have to register in one filmmaking workshop.
Mm.
So the story one is I think one exercise in that workshop.
So actually, so you're kind of like an accidental director, because literally, if you didn't have the economic downturn in Vietnam and you couldn't work on architecture, you wouldn't have started making films. That's basically it, right? So
yeah, I think so. But maybe when I try to look back to from my past, then because I think somehow I get fascinated with filmmaking or cinema when I was very small. So just after graduated, then I have more time to look back to myself, and I
yeah.
just
Bec-
realized.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, similar to what I said to Yossi and Ziwei, is that, not with the Story of Ones. Actually, I haven't seen the Story of Ones, but Another City, your first fiction short, in many ways that already establishes your authorship, like, or your style, because it's so strong, the style in it. And in fact, your upcoming feature Coolie Never Cries has a lot of commonalities with Another City, and similar to your later short The Unseen River. So I mean, like, it's interesting because even with your first fiction short, you already have an extremely strong style, and I think that shows that you have a very clear voice of what you want to do.
Thanks.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, and I think that basically, like, Amanda, I haven't seen Pasak actually. Like, I'm not really sure how to find some of your earlier stuff, but that you were in London Film School at that time, right? And this was this was your graduate film, I guess, or what happened? Yeah.
This was my graduation film. So yeah, that's when I came back. So it's weird because I grew up in the UK and I decided to come back to Malaysia to do my graduation film. So it was like I didn't know anyone and everything. So yeah, it was my first short.
Yeah, because later on you made another short before you make It's Easier to Raise Cattle, right? So this is in that way that was your third short. But I think that like when you watch It's Easier to Raise Cattle again, like you have a feature film coming up, Tiger Stripes, and you can immediately already see how that feature is going to be just based on the short that you make. And is it something that is it something that you were already kind of like clear on the kind of subject matters or the things, because you usually tend to write about like female coming of age stories a lot, right?
I think well, Pasak was actually a story about a woman who was stuck in this marriage, but with Pasak it was weird because I started, it was my first short and I didn't really discover my identity because I was living in UK and I was Malaysian and I was like, who am I? So I think in that terms of like that short, it was still very hazy on who I was as and what my voice was, but still it was themes that were about the identity of a female in Southeast Asia. And I think when I moved to It's Easier to Raise Cattle, that was when I really knew what I wanted to say.
Right. And that's the reason why I wanted to kind of like establish these commonalities, and that you all started making films in the early 2010s. So, it took you a while, like all of you, because, 8-9 years plus to basically get to the point where you are about to shoot your films. And of course, like your shorts went to really major festivals. You'll see you've been to so many, like you've been to Rotterdam, to Venice, to Locarno, Clermont-Ferrand. And of course, this is not exhaustive. You've been to a lot more than that. Most of you did, like Amanda, Venice, Clermont-Ferrand, and of course others. So the way, you had a short that it was in Cannes, in the Fondation San Sebastian. Lan, you've been to Berlin, Locarno, Sundance, Clermont-Ferrand. So the question is, the 4 shorts that we have, in our omnibus, because say Yossi with Bumra, it went to Rotterdam. How did that exposure to these big festivals help your career, and especially help you to get to where you could finally make your feature film? Do you think it has a big impact?
Yeah, really big. I mean, someone can find grant if they really have a good project, and but like, if how to say, okay, let's say this way. I mean, the film is still the same film, even it gets selected to the festival or not. But someone there some people like doesn't want to watch film that not select in some festival before. That
Right.
the advantage to be selected. And of course, Rotterdam is like, yeah, I mean, for my feature film, they support me for T stage already. So
Yes.
I think if my film never select that, I cannot say because Amanda film never select in Rotterdam too, right? Yeah, but like, I mean, I think it's in, I mean, if the selection committee and this round work in Rotterdam before and they say, okay, we support this guy before, why don't we trust him again, something like that. That my theory, which I'm not know is it real or not. Yeah.
I think there is something to your theory, because I think that because your shorts have been to Rotterdam so many times, that's why you are one of the extremely few directors that they basically gave you money 3 times. Who else? I can't even name of anybody who gives you money 3 times from one place. And that's what Rotterdam did. They gave you money 3 times for your feature film. You got the script development, you got the Hubert Bau support, and also the Hubert Bos plus NFF, which is the Netherlands Film Fund. I mean, like, really, it's I cannot name somebody else off the top of my head who does that, and I think that is a big advantage. Yeah, I think you're right. But also because you could travel, right, and to go to these festivals, and I think that helps you a lot because you make connections.
Oh yeah. I forget to mention about traveling to the festival term, because it's like it. I mean, I'm in the, like, you are travel, and you are in a good mood, and when you watch film, it's like, and the film cannot watch here. I mean, you can watch here, but like on the laptop. Yeah, I mean, this kind of film never released much in my country, so it's a kind of like we have another archive to visit, and so we watch more films. So I think first time I went to Rotterdam, I watched around 40 film. I watched for like that 10 days, and like I watched around 40. Like I like around like many of them like more than more than 30, something like that. And yeah, that's how I watch a lot of film too, and that helped me in terms of filmmaker too.
Yeah, and I think that that's really important because a lot of times in Southeast Asia, we just don't get to see a lot of films, especially art house films, you know. So when you finally get to a festival like Rotterdam or others, you suddenly can see other films for the first time, and it's really exciting because otherwise these kinds of films are just not available. And I think that one of the most important things as a filmmaker is to watch films and to kind of like absorb things and to start also understanding what kind of filmmaker you want to be, because if you don't watch films, how do you know what kind of films you want to make, right? So yeah, Amanda, is that the same also with you? But like, how was like being in Venice, and of course you won a prize in Clermont-Ferrand? How does that change your career?
Oh my God, like it was amazing. And I mean, not just confidence boosting, but you know, like you said, I made two shorts before, and I remember I made the second one, and I absolutely just was not happy with it. I lost total confidence, and I stopped making shorts, like full stop, until you know in 2017, where I made It's Easier to Raise Cattle, and that was just like, why not? Let's just try this. You know, I won a little bit of money, so I might as well make this short. And you know, it was so unexpected for it to travel so much, and so amazing to travel with it, so that you know, like I get to speak about it, I get to meet other filmmakers. I mean, like me and Yossi became really good friends because of you know going to Venice together. So so yeah, it's like totally like a huge difference, and it was that whole year was just like everything just kind of rushed in and became like, whoa, like I can actually do this. So
And I think that's interesting because, you know, in some ways you guys kind of formed a little bit of a group because, you know, like a lot of you guys are friends with each other, and like because you all also, you know, like are similar filmmakers coming around the same time. And, you know, like you guys also went to Locarno Filmmakers Academy and all hung out with Nelson Yo also. So I mean, like a lot of these kinds of things also is not just about watching films, but also kind of like getting to know filmmakers who are around the same level as you from Southeast Asia. And I think that also is it's cool, right? Because you also get to know, you know, the kind of films that are being made from just
yeah,
from our region.
absolutely. I mean, we watch each other's work. We talk about like you know what we're gonna do, and it's quite a nice like you know unit and friendship. I think. I think so anyway. I don't
Yeah.
know about everyone else.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, because so wait, you're a little bit different though in that because you after you made your first short, you kind of ran away to go to school, which is the opposite of Amanda, who kind of graduated after, because you went to Le Frenois in France. Do you speak French at all? Why did you decide to suddenly
Uh,
go all the way to Le Frenois
oh,
to go to school?
actually, this it was because of a film festival actually, because I
Ah,
went to one of my shorts went to Vladivostok, where I
mm,
met and I saw this film I really loved by Sri Lankan filmmaker Vimukti Jayasundara.
right.
So I went to speak to him, and he was here. He told me he studied at Le Frenois.
Yes.
So I said, oh, why don't I give it a shot because the deadline is coming up. So I just applied because he told me it was a really good experience for him. I mean, I loved his film, and
Mm,
I was at the time looking to go to overseas to kind of meet more filmmakers and maybe learn more about cinema. But I guess Le
mm.
Frenois is quite unique in that sense because it's not just filmmakers in the school. So yeah, it was because of a festival that I went to.
He
I
didn't
applied to
tell
Le Frenois.
he
Yeah.
didn't tell you how much he hated basically like the city itself and all these things, because you know
No, he
I'm pretty
didn't.
good friends with him and he really hated the city, so
I
I
know
don't know.
now. I know. Like after I got into the school and I spoke to him again, I realized that he hated the city, and he was sleeping in somebody's apartment for like 4 months, I think, or something. So, but he didn't tell me that. He just said, "Oh, it's amazing." My teacher was Tsai Ming Liang. I was like, "Oh, wow, it sounds amazing." So I'm just gonna apply.
But of course, you know, like the good result afterwards is that, you know, like afterwards or during, is it during or after that you made After the Winter, the short film
During,
that went to Cannes?
during. during the school. Yeah, it was a year-end project, I think. Yeah.
Wow. But that's really fantastic because then, of course, you get to go to Cannes Cine Fondation with it. So, yeah, and then
it was really a great experience. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I just sent it off on a whim, and it was yeah. So it was a really good experience to go to Cannes, and in Cine Fondation they were already. I think that the people at Cine Fondation were already asking like, are you planning, for a feature, and actually they told me about the Jerusalem Film Lab, and I remember in the Cine Fondation office there was a picture of Jun Feng. the flyer for the Jerusalem Film Lab, there was a picture of Jun Feng. I was like, hey, maybe I should try for this if I am going to make a feature. So
yeah, we're going to talk about script labs after this because, of course, you guys all went to script labs, which is also another very interesting thing that you share. Yeah. So Lan also because you're kind of different because, you're without knowing anything, you applied to the Berlin Short Film Forum, and this is after the story of one. But you haven't even made a fiction short yet, and then you got in. Can you explain that a little bit? Like what happened?
I don't know. So after I met the hybrid film, the historic ones, then I thought that maybe it's not really fits to what I want. So I just tried to learn how to make fiction by myself, and I just wrote a script, the another city script. But at the time, I asked for some money for some fund in Vietnam, but they do not grant me because I never made any fiction before. So so someone just sent me the goal of Berlinale at the time. The short film station at the time they said that
short film station, right? Yeah.
So I apply and then they just accept. I don't know.
That's incredible because usually most people apply I don't know how many times to get into something like Berlinale Talents, and you as a guy who never made anything but a hybrid one short film and then you suddenly got in. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And how I mean, like, and of course, like you went and then the next year you made that short film and the short film ended up going back to Berlin, but now it's in the short film competition. So what was the experience like of being in that short film station then? Like, what did it help a lot?
Yes, I think so. Especially when I have that trademark, that mark that going to Berlinale short film station, then I come back and then I just apply to the fund in Vietnam, which was rejected me previous time, and they just fund me. They funded me. Yeah, and then after having that money, then I just made that film. And after that, after making that film, then without any post-production, I just sent to the woman who was in charge of Berlinale Short Film Station, and she had me to refer to the curator of Berlinale Shots. So,
but yeah, but that's really incredible because I think that shows how festivals can really help you because you said you were rejected for funds in Vietnam, but after going to Berlinale Short Film Station, then you got the funding. So I think this is in many ways how important these kinds of being selected at labs at major festivals can really help you even locally, right? So
yeah, I think so. So I think go to big festivals, sometimes it helps a lot because especially for those who never watch our films or who watch but actually do not understand our films, then they would still think that maybe we can become a good filmmaker. I don't know.
Exactly. And then, of course, like you guys all travel to all kinds of labs. Like we just talked about labs just now with Lan, because Amanda, of course, you went to Berlinale Talents, you went to Locarno Filmmakers Academy, and you went to Talents Tokyo. Interestingly, all four of you went to Talents Tokyo. I guess it's because well, one reason is to pitch, but also because it's a really good
Venice and so great that I got an international platform and you get to talk about films and you actually get to kind of figure out like where you stand on this world as well as a filmmaker and what your voice is. So I think that really helped. Aside from, you know, the pitching and all the practice and all the workshops that you learn, I think these labs are like better than film school.
Yeah, because when did you already think about Tiger Stripes? Was it around this time? Like when did you like? Is it right after It's Easier to Raise Cattle, or?
Yeah, it was actually just after I finished shooting It's Easier to Raise Cattle, and I, you know, had this idea that I wanted to talk about, you know, coming of age, I want to talk about puberty. But again, it was that whole like, hey, I've only like made so few short films. I don't think I'm ready. And it was actually Yulia that I met in Venice, and she was like, do you have a feature idea? And I was like, yes, but I don't know, like maybe I'm not ready for it. And she's like, just go back, ask the producer that you want to work with, and just see where you go from there. So that was exactly what I did. I went back. I know Faye very well, but yeah, just pitched the idea, and we were like, let's work together. So yeah, that's how it started.
So Yulia Evina Bara is an Indonesian producer. So you know, just an FYI. Yeah, no. So wait, actually, you're. I mean, of course, you went to Talents Tokyo as well, but you're slightly different because obviously you're a Chinese speaker, and one of the things that is available to you, of course, is as a Chinese speaker, is the Golden Horse Film Academy. Did you apply to Golden Horse Film Academy after outing, or around the same time, or was it just like, you know, a matter of timing, or?
I think I applied for it after my second short, Waiting.
Oh, okay.
Which went to Busan Film Festival, and so I was just looking for something to go to and to meet people and of course a big plus of the Golden Horse Film Academy is Ho Xiaoxian is the mentor whose films I really love. So I just decided to apply, and I think it was I'm not sure, but it might be the same. I got the call from Golden Horse Film Academy when I met Vimukti, which I was going to apply for Le Frenois. So everything just kind of, I was just trying to further my vocabulary as a filmmaker and my voice, and just to find opportunities to make films and meet people.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, of course, and then you kind of like, because you went to Le Frenois, so there was a little bit of a time lapse afterwards. And then, of course, once you started having a feature film idea, and your feature film's called Tomorrow is a Long Time, when did that start about? Like,
I think maybe around 2015, I had an idea, but I didn't really do anything. I just let it sit for a little bit to see if it still interests me, and that was later after when I just looked for a producer, and which is Pham, and I asked him if he was interested in making the film with me, because I think we knew each other for a while, so that's.
And you went to Talents Tokyo in 2017, right?
Yeah.
16 or 17? 17. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you were kind of like, so it took you a while to basically like develop it, but then of course, you know, now you're ready to shoot in 2021, which is very exciting. So, Lan, I think you went to a lot. You went to actually Berlinale Talents a number of times. You went as a short film station. I don't know why I said short form. Anyways, and then you went as a director also for Berlinale Talents. You went to Talents Tokyo, and you went to the Singapore Film Festival Southeast Asian Film Lab. So you went to a number of them as well. And when did you have this idea for Coolie, actually? When did it start? Coolie Never Cries, your feature film. Sorry.
I think maybe after the first Berlinale, like in 2016, then I just think of maybe I write something for future.
Yeah, because actually, like, so that was the year when Another City was in Berlin, right? Right. And then that was the same year that you applied to Seafic, and you also applied to Busan Asian Project Market. So, right. Okay. Good. So we're going to talk about that whole script lab part a little bit later. And then of course you'll see like you have the most impressive resume because there's a lot of them over here that you went to. And you started quite early, of course, because you went to Puchon Fantastic Film School in 2012, Moscow Generation Campus in 2013, Busan Asian Film Academy afterwards. I don't know when that is, 2014, 15, I guess?
13.
13 as well, okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
13.
you went to Talents Tokyo in when, 2015 or something?
Yeah, 15.
Okay. So you basically like, and then of course, Singapore, Berlinale Talents, Jakarta Filmmakers Academy. So, but because you had this idea for Arnold as a model student for quite a long time. I mean, like when did it start? 2014 or 15 or
14. It was the same
14?
year that we have coup d'etat. That's why the film happened.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because all I remember was I remembered it was in Pudio Sud, Bangkok. I mean, that's when that's when I heard about you and then I heard about the project, but I didn't know exactly when it started. But yeah, because you went to so many of these labs and like did that in many ways kind of like also help you to kind of figure out what your project is, what you want to do with your feature film?
Um, Maybe it's not about the place, but it depends on me if I'm focusing like if when I went to Puchon, I doing nothing. I mean, back then they not really need a project, and like I have another project just apply for that, but in the end we not do a thing about that. And like Puchon, this lab is not about writing much. It's like
Mm,
PR and stuff and everything. Like yeah,
mm,
it's a bit weird lab in general. I mean, yeah, I feel that way. But like the Moscow one, I like a lot because they talk about how to submit short film. It's just like 7 days about that. Yeah.
mm. Okay.
So yeah, and then we show each other work and that I think that year I just finished Bullum and I submit Bullum to that lab. So
Right.
that's how I dare enough to submit more and more. And like
Mm.
the rest, Busan I applied many times before, but I get the second time, yeah, in 13.
So that's very good because you make so many short films that it's good that you know how to basically like to have training on how to submit to festivals and like do all these things. So, but that's good because like that's one of the things that is really clear is that you are quite a prolific short filmmaker. And then but so the first place that you develop Arnold is a model student, your feature film is in Pudio Sud, Bangkok in 2015, right? That was the first place that you started, I think.
14, yeah, but yeah, it's for
14.
the first, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And of course, Pudio Sud, Bangkok doesn't exactly exist in the same form. Pudio Sud, Southeast Asia is now part of Seafic. So we call it Seafic Expass. So we work together to basically help the producers lab on that side. So, okay, great. So next, and of course, in all of them are co-productions. And again, one of the main commonalities is that all of you guys got the French fund Edo Cinema du Monde, which is really quite amazing because usually it's one of the hardest funds to get, but then all four of you managed to get it. And I think that's really incredible. And they're all co-productions and you guys are all shooting this year into 2021, and I think that's also one of the reasons why it's so exceptional that you have four very interesting filmmakers starting around the same time, kind of went through somewhat similar trajectory, all basically shooting this year. Yeah, I mean, like, did you Zue, did you plan to do a co-production? Was it just something that kind of like was just happened because of course you went to project markets to try to raise money and to try to find co-production in both Berlinale Talent Project Market and Golden Horse. So was it something that just happened or?
I think it's something that we always plan to do. I think my producers were very interested in co-productions. I think that's how the previous films that they have made have been done. So I think it's a good model that really works. And also having studied in France, and I realized that being in France really helped me. I was very interested in looking for a French producer.
Mm.
So yeah, we decided to apply to Cinema du Monde, and I guess it's a happy ending.
Yeah. And well, because of COVID, I mean, actually you were supposed to shoot last year, but because of COVID, you couldn't. So
Yes. I mean, yeah. So even now, I think the situation is still quite fluid because of quarantines and many things. But yeah, the plan is to shoot in 2021.
Yeah. And of course, your film is a little bit different because you're the only one who not shooting in your country because you're going to be shooting in Taiwan.
Yes, part of it, I think. Part of the
Yeah.
film will be in Taiwan. Part of it will be in Singapore. So I think that's the difficulty because of travel at the moment is a bit restricted and with quarantines in place. So yeah, but we're hoping the situation changes and we can shoot the film in 2021.
Right. And oops, I already realized my mistake. So Tiger Stripes is also an Indonesian co-production. I corrected in the earlier page, but I didn't put it here. I think Yulia Evina Baru will kill me now because I said that. But yes, it's supposed to be Malaysia, France, Singapore, Germany, Indonesia co-production. And again, you got French and Singapore support. In fact, all of them are also with Singapore somehow. And you went to a lot of labs. You went to Boost NL, to Be Fine, which is also the same as Buchon, which is where Yossi went before, but this is the project market side. You went to Locarno to Open Doors Hub, Sidges, which is a genre project market, and then Cannes Atelier. So yeah, I mean, like, did you also kind of plan to do co-productions, or it just happened that way, or?
Well, I guess because we just didn't know how else to raise money for the film. So we knew that there were grants available, and that was basically our first plan. And it's all our first features, but it's also for my producer Faye. It's her first time, really being a lead producer on like a co-production kind of stage. And so for both of us, we basically just applied to everything and said yes to everything that we could. And over the past 2 years, just learned everything we could. And we're so happy that we've got the grants that we have now. Yeah.
Right. And because your co-producer from Singapore is also Fran Borja, who is also Ziwei's producer. So this is how incestuous Thailand is. I mean, sorry, Southeast Asia is. Everybody's involved in everybody else's project. Okay. So, yeah, Arnold is a model student. Also, he's a Thai, French, Netherlands, Singapore production. Yeah, it's did you think that it was going to be like a co-production as well, because you went to produce Thai That Bind and Thai Pitch, so you were not at that time like super concentrated in going to project markets and stuff like that, but you managed to get really, really good like international funds. So yeah, what was that process like for you?
I think I really can use Amanda answer for that. We don't know where else to find money.
Yeah, because Thailand, we don't have we used to have some funding, from the ministries, but you still managed to get a little bit of funding from the ministry, but now, of course, it doesn't really exist anymore. So I guess for Thailand, you kind of are forced to do co-productions to get funding, no?
Yeah.
But do you think, what do you think about co-productions and things like that? Was it something that, you felt challenging? Because you made a short called Dossier of the Dossier to kind of express your idea of basically constantly having to revise and then constantly having to do applications and things.
Yeah, but it's really hard, and I submit both CNC and Netherlands Film Fund I got it with the second round. Normally you can apply only once, but once you get shortlisted, they allow you to resubmit. That's how I get the second round. But if I get in the first round, maybe I finish my film already. You know what I mean, right?
Hey, but
yeah,
for
but now
Singapore,
I about to shoot, but then COVID comes, something like that. So I don't know. Yeah, this is my feeling about co-production, and it's complicated. Yeah, now, even the COVID, it make it really more hard. Now we bring the cameraman from Singapore to stay in Bangkok, and then he ASQ for 2 weeks. But once he out, the news about the COVID it spread again, something like that. And we even have to think that we need to send him back or not, something like. So it had that stuff. Yeah, but I don't know the answer. I mean, I cannot work with studio because the Thai studio always ruin your good creative, in my opinion.
Mm. But
And
you did
I'm really stubborn and never listen to anybody, so I need to be my own boss. That's
but it's good to know that about yourself, you know. But like I said, well, you got Singapore on the first try, so you know, with the other two, you got it in the second try, but you got Singapore in the first try, and not everybody got Singapore in the first try. So you know, you win some, you lose some. But the main problem, of course, is that unfortunately, the second wave of COVID hit you right at the wrong time. You know, it's just really unfortunate because otherwise you would be shooting extremely soon. So
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's really sad because of course, you know, for me, I definitely want you to shoot. You know, I've been, you know, kind of like cheering for you for a while and helping, you know, you a little bit on here and there and stuff like that. But the situation in Thailand with COVID, what can we do?
Well,
And yeah. Lan, you know, like you, yeah, you also have a very big co-production, same 5 countries, same as like Amanda, because it's Vietnam, France, Philippines, Singapore, Norway. And you went to a lot of project markets. You went to Busan APM, but when you went to Busan APM, like, you know, because it was just you just got into Seafic at that time, so you had the first session of Seafic before you went to Busan. So yeah, well, I mean, did you already know what you wanted when you went to Busan, or was it like, oh, it's was a bit of a shock, and then you kind of like went on with it afterwards? What was your thinking at that time? Why did you apply?
No, at the time I have no idea because I have very little knowledge about what I should do about with my project. But at that time, I really know that I'm not really satisfied with the quality of the post-production or the audience in Vietnam.
Hmm.
So I think I might need to I mean, with my film, it should be a cooperation between some country because I cannot like you cannot go very well with post person here, and
Hmm.
then I think I cannot find the audience here. But I do not want to change the way that I make films.
Hmm.
Mm.
And I think that that's something that, you know, Yossi also says that, you know, basically you have a very clear idea of what you want and you don't want to have other people ruin your artistic vision, and that's why you do co-productions, right?
Mm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, because you went to so many labs and all of these things, like it in the end, it didn't really affect the film that you want to make, though, right? So because it was just more about refining, but you have always had a pretty clear idea what you wanted to do, and I think it's the same also with the others.
Mm. I hope so.
Because well, I mean, like, you know, like I think even at Seafic, you know, you started out with a very clear idea of what you wanted to do, and I think that basically in many ways, oh, I didn't mention scripts because I wanted to end it here and then we can talk about scripts. Yeah, because, you know, like in many ways you know, like you had a pretty clear idea what you wanted to do even in the first round, but it's just a matter of making a script that basically like people can read and get what you're trying to do. It's more about communication rather than being unclear about what you want to do, right? I think that was a sense, the general sense I got from you.
Yeah. Actually, at that time, I'm not really totally know that what should I do or what I like. But sometimes when people suggest something or they open something to my, then sometimes I feel that, oh, this is really that what I do not like. So I
Mm.
mean, I am more know more about like what I do not want rather than what I want at that time.
So did going to a script lab like Seafic, was that the process of like kind of like seeing what you don't like?
In a way, I think so. Yeah. Like for something that we like, I think we should like have more time to know more about. It's not really like something that you know for in a very like short time.
Mm. And then you'll see, I mean, was it kind of similar where like I think like you know, of course you went to CFIC in the second year, and I think for you also in some ways it's more about you were very clear about what you wanted to do, but it's more like how do you convince other people of what you're doing and to kind of shape your dossier and your script to communicate that to them, right?
Yeah, and it still happened till today. I mean, some of producers will give me comment about the same thing that Seafic people come comment, but like, but for my producer, it's different. I mean, come on, man! It's just like, hey, come on, you choose me, you believe in me, it's not belief. Because he said like, I excited to produce you, and like, I love your sense of humor, and he asked about the thing that it's a funny scene, it's a joke, but you don't get it on the letter. I mean the text. Yeah. So I just add to him. Yeah.
No, but I think that's like I mean like I did see of course some changes in your script and the way you think, because I mean in the end you did take some suggestions and things. You were not like totally like not open to it, and in fact you made some very big changes at the end, which I think that actually really helped a lot. But in some way it's not really about, it wasn't major, but in some ways it's just like I think you kind of like just had a bit of a reflection, and I think that was really, yeah, I think it was really, really good that you basically like, at least like the process of Seafic is just more like, it was more a reflection of what you think rather than basically saying, oh, the script is going to like mold the script for you or whatever. It's just more so that you kind of like have a better sense of, a reflection of what you're trying to do, I think, right? I don't know what you think about the process of script writing when you were here.
In the end, it's very useful. I learn a lot, especially from Frank. Yeah. But like, but doesn't mean that after the lab you stop your idea, something like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But,
yeah, and I think
and you must write. I mean, if you can fix it in your head, you can write it in your head. But if you are not have a good memory, in the end you must write again. Yeah.
Right.
Update. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I always say that the script lab, like the purpose of the script lab is not for you to, we're not here to tell you what your script is supposed to be, or this is good, this is bad. It's more like for you to basically know how to answer all the questions for yourself, because afterwards, if you know all the possibilities of the script, you can easily throw the script away. It's not needed. The only reason why the script is there is really to sell the project to other people so you can get money. But the thing is, like, the script itself is only so useful as to make sure that you know what you're doing. Really, it's not, I even, it's funny to say this because I run the script lab, but for me the script is not a Bible. To me, it's just like, if you know what you're doing, you can throw it away. I don't know if you feel the same way. So
yeah, I didn't feel the exactly same way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that you both felt that basically that was a process at Seafic. We were never telling you have to do it this way, but it's more like, my more frustration sometimes is more about like, like I always, and you heard me saying this, just change this, not for you, but basically to get the money. Yeah, and of course, Ziwei and Amanda, you went to other labs because you didn't go to Seafic, but like, I wanted to hear what you thought about the kind of process you had, because Amanda, you went to an interesting lab called Less is More. So yeah, so what was the process like for you over there to develop your project Tiger Stripes?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the process because I didn't have a script at all. And it was, like I said, I went back to Malaysia, I pitched it verbally. I had no written treatment at all. And when I applied to Less is More, all they needed was like, I think like a one-page treatment. So I kind of made that treatment, for that application. And when I went there, it was a year long and I didn't write a single word in my script at all. There was like no script written for 1 year. But what I learned in that lab was what was the heart of my story. So it took me like a year to really know like this root, this thing that was very much like, what do I need to say in like 3 words and what's my film? And from that, it actually helped me to write my script. It actually helped me a lot to get feedback from people, because sometimes feedback can be super confusing. And like Lun was saying, like, you learn what you don't like, you learn what you like. But because I knew the heart and I knew like the essence of what my film was, I could take feedback really well. I actually loved all this different feedbacks because I was like, no, this is exactly what I want to say. So yeah, that was my experience.
I think that's a really great point, because like I think the most important thing is that in your heart what you're trying to do, because a lot of filmmakers sometimes they go to these labs And in the process, instead of basically kind of like making their stories better or making their scripts better or being more sure, they become less sure because so many people say so many different things to you and you are getting so many kinds of feedback and you don't know how to take it or you don't know who to listen to. And I think that that's really an important thing, because I think in the case of you guys, because you guys have a voice, so like you kind of know in essence what you're trying to do, so it's just a matter of listening to the right things that you think it makes sense, right? Do you think that's the case,
Yeah,
Amanda?
definitely. I mean, that's how you get your feedback. Is like it's really nice to see, people's reaction, but it's also very important to know exactly what you want to say.
All right. It's a way, like, you went to Jerusalem Script Lab, right? So I mean, was it like kind of similar to what we were talking about?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a really good mentor, Claire Downs, I think,
Right.
and she has mentored previous Singapore films, Apprentice
Yes.
and A Yellowbird. So I think it was really helpful to have her understand what a background, what Singapore is like, and she was very, very open, because I think out of the participants there, my film was a little bit more unconventional, I would say, and but she was really open, and I think also what the lab does, it doesn't give you the chance to procrastinate. You have to write a draft,
Right.
and I think that's very helpful, because sometimes for me, especially for me, I think I would say, oh, I have the idea in my head, I know what's going to be like, but you have to have a script so people understand what your vision is. If I'm going to send it to a DOP I like, or let's say a co-producer, and they want to talk about it, I think they always do so after reading the script at least. So I think it was very helpful also with the other filmmakers who come from all over the world, and how they view your idea, and like people from Argentina or Nepal or Turkey, and how they see what you're trying to make, and what is the commonality with, what is the common human experience that all these filmmakers see in your script. So I think it was a really great experience for me. I think it took about 7 months, and I think that energy allowed me to, even after the lab is over, that energy of meeting people and jury members who liked my project, and we kept in touch. It gave me the energy to continue, like working on a draft, trimming down the fat, and just coming up with a draft that you can apply to like project markets or funds. So yeah, I thought it was really, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you raise a good point in that basically one of the things that people have told me about Seafic is that the greatest thing about Seafic is just the fact that you give us deadlines because it
Yes.
forces you to work. And I think that in many ways, like you just said just now, like, like in some ways it's easy to say I have it figured out, but then it's much harder to be like, fine, I have this deadline, I have to finish this. And I don't know if it's the same with all of you guys. It's just a matter of like just giving us a deadline that kind of pushes you to basically like just do things. Yeah. Yeah. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree very much.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The others are kind of nodding as well. So, yeah, and I think that that's basically like what I'm trying to describe here with this panel is that kind of like journey from this beginning short film that kind of like you're starting to form your own sense of your kind of film direction, to going to all these different labs, trying to find your story, thinking about your first feature, developing the script, getting the funds, and now, of course, in 2021, you're all going to be shooting. And of course, this journey is, took a while, like, these guys all started, in early 2010s, but in many ways, making films, I think you'll all agree, it takes a certain journey. You just can't just like say, oh, okay, I'm just going to do it now. And in many ways, yeah, I mean, each of them kind of help to, form what you're trying to do. Of course, in the case of Yossi and also Zue, it's a little bit unfortunate that, you should have already been shooting earlier, but you both are stuck because of COVID. So yeah, Lan, the reason why you're not shooting yet is not because of COVID, but because you have to wait for other things. So, but it's not exactly COVID related per se. Amanda, I don't know. It's not really related to COVID, I think. I mean, you got all the funding already last year, but sorry?
Last year we were meant to shoot in November
Oh, you
2020.
were?
Yeah, and we had to push it, and so we're obviously trying to shoot middle of this year, but Malaysia's situation is really bad right now, so I'm just waiting for what is going to happen tomorrow when they announce some form of lockdown, I think. So,
Oh, jeez.
yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's basically kind of in the same kind of situation, really, just kind of waiting
Yeah.
for things to get better. I mean, that's the tale
Yeah.
of 2020 and 2021. It's just waiting until you can finally shoot something.
Yeah,
So
you can't plan anything. It's just that you don't know what's going to happen.
yeah. Yes, sorry about that. But anyways, on a happier note, we should skip to our Q&A. So we have so please, if you have some questions, especially like if you do want to ask questions about the short films as well. And of course, you've seen the short films, hopefully, so you know the kind of works. And of course, hopefully, once you see their feature films, you can get, why these shorts that they made are actually kind of the precursor to the feature film that they're going to make. So the first question that is asked by somebody who's anonymous is, are most of the applications to these labs, academies, and fundings closed doors or by invitation only? Must you have short films that have traveled to major festivals before being considered for these things? So anybody want to answer that?
Okay, I can first.
Yeah, Amanda?
Most of the applications to the labs and academies, no, they're not closed doors. I think only Atelier is by invitation only, but everything
Right.
else is open for everyone to apply. But I don't think you necessarily need to have a short film in a major festival. I think helps, but I don't. I think I mean I know filmmakers who haven't their short films in festivals.
Sorry, it's hard to hear you.
Oh,
Hello,
sorry. Yeah,
hello.
I just think it's not necessary to have your short film in a major festival to get in. It might
Okay, so
help,
you
but yeah, but I
so
think it's
it
not.
okay, it might help, but maybe not totally necessary.
Not
Yossi, do you
necessary.
agree?
I might say must not, but but the how we competitive for those grants is very competitive, so that helps. So, but
Yeah.
it's not a must. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a good example is there's a feature film. If you wait for the next panel is called "Congrats on your co-production." Now what? One of the projects that we're going to talk about there is a Vietnamese film called Taste by Le Bao. Le Bao has never been to a major festival. He not even like the big regional ones. Like he's never been to Busan or anything like that. But now he got all the major funds and he's already finished shooting his film, which is a co-production with France and Germany. So yeah, it's not exactly necessary, but like what they said, because these grants and all of these kinds of things are so competitive that it's really about how strong your short film is. Your short films don't have to go to festivals, but they have to be really strong, right? Do you agree, Lan? And it's the way?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think you should have a short so that when you apply, I think people like to see previous work. So I think that's kind of important. But like you said, like Labao didn't go to any major festival, but I think people loved his shots. So
Mhm.
that really helped.
Yeah. Yeah. For us, for example, at Seafic, we always say that you have to have at least made 2 short films before you apply. You don't necessarily have to go to the big festivals, but you at least should have had made 2 short films before, and we will then judge it based upon those kinds of previous works. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. But yeah, in general, basically most of the applications are not closed door. They're all on the website. So just go and check them out. You can apply to them. They all have deadlines. Like Seafic, for example, we are open. It's just a matter of, well, we're not open yet because this year we have a different kind of lab. But anyways, yeah, just check them out and then online, and then you can find out information about how to apply to these different labs and academies. Okay, next one. Uh, who funded your first short films? Did you get grants to do them, Zue?
Yeah, I think I applied to the Singapore Film Commission and I got a very small grant to do it. So it was it was very difficult. I mean, we didn't even shoot on HD because we had no camera, so we used a HDV camera to shoot outing actually. So, but it's possible, you know. I think you should just apply and see if you can get some money. If not, just get a few friends to make the film.
Yeah, I think the person who asked is anonymous because I think in many ways where you are from matters a lot, because Singapore, for example, has short film grants, whereas like in Thailand, there is, I mean, yeah, sometimes the Ministry of Culture will give money, but not in the last 2 years. So before they did, so yeah, and in Vietnam also, like they have some kind of grants, but they're kind of like governmental. Lan, is there kind of like a, where do you get your funding from for your first short film?
Do you mean another city or story ones? I think for story ones, then I just borrow the camera from the workshop, and yeah, it costs nothing more. Yeah, because
But
it's
for another city, you, sorry.
yeah, because it's just hybrid films. So yeah, I use the footage voices from radio, so almost cost. But for another city, then at that time, in 2012, there's still fund like a Danish fund in Vietnam. So they fund some,
Danish?
yeah, Danish embassy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So it doesn't exist anymore. It's not there anymore.
Right now, it's still, but it's just only fund for the labs, not for individuals.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, like, you'll see, you know, like, do you agree? Like, how did you make some of your earlier shorts? Who funded them?
I think in the end it's self-funded by me. But
Yeah.
like I make it cheap. I know how to make it cheap, something like that. Like, anti-mem is very cheap, 20,000 baht. Yeah, but like sometime I got, but I spend over to top up myself a little bit, something like that. And yeah, but like there are some like random grant in Thailand, like, but it's random. Sometimes it's just one time and no more, something like that. It's like, but like the content must like celebrate that thing, something like that. But why I made the PD film, which I luckily like him in general. Yeah, so that I get from Thai Short Film Festival. That the first one that I, let's just say, if I'm not self-funded, this is the first grant I got back then in 2010. Very cheap, just 20,000 baht, something like that.
How much?
20,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For document.
Okay, that's great. 20,000 baht.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cheap. So it's not 20,000 US, it's 20,000 baht. So that's only like, yeah.
That's why I feel like sometimes I can self-fund it myself. You know what I mean,
right? Yeah. Right. And Amanda, like, how did you? Because your case is a little bit different because you were in film school, right? And that's how it was funded.
Yeah. So the film school gave us a little bit of funding to make our graduation film. And then my second short was self-funded, and I really didn't like it, and so I never wanted to self-fund anymore again. So it's easier to raise cattle. It was actually an award money, but you know, I think it's totally possible that Yossi self-funds his films, and he makes really great short films. So any way goes. And Malaysia does have a fund for short films as well if you're under 35. So.
Right. But yeah, I think and sorry, I'm just thinking about like if there are any other kinds. Oh yeah, because nowadays, of course, Singapore Film Festival also has a new fund. Well, it's not new; it's already a couple of years for short films. So that's one opportunity that you can have also to find some money to raise funding for short films. So there are some funds for short films out there. There are not a lot of them, but yeah, those are all possibilities. Okay. Where
actually,
do you...
I got some for Busan also. I mean the COVID one, but like
right.
But like there's random, this happened for first time. That's why but I think the budget, I mean, I will spend more again. I mean, because I want something big. Yeah.
Right. No, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Sorry.
No worries. That's good because you know it's one of the funds that a lot of people were applying for last year. So where would you like to screen your first feature film? Okay. Wow, that direct. Where do you want your world premiere for your feature film to be, Yossi?
Wherever the thing, it's not my decision. It's the festival decision.
Okay, very good answer. I like that. Very good. Lan, same, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I like my producer design.
Okay, you like your Amanda?
Same answer as Yossi. It's not my decision. program.
I love how all of you are being so like, like very like diplomatic about it. It's great.
We don't know. We don't know what's gonna turn out like.
Right. How about the way you agree?
Same answer. Yeah. No different.
Wow. You guys are good. Very professional. I like that. Avoid tough questions easily by good deflection.
Like what I want to know more is like when I can shoot my film, not where it's gonna premiere. I mean, I want to shoot first. This is my problem.
Right. I think that's the most important part. Okay, next one. Aside from indulging oneself into different films and creating films, what advice would you give to emerging filmmakers in order to establish their identity on their films? Okay. I don't know. Amanda, do you have any like what advice would you give to emerging filmmakers in order to develop or establish their own identity in their films?
I think yeah, I can answer that because you know how you were talking about like we started in the early 2010s and we've only got now it's 2021 and we're ready to make our first feature, but I think there's an element of growth in that as well, and growing up, maturing. I think there's no right or wrong answer, but the more you mature, I think the more you feel more sure of yourself and what you want to say. If that answers the question.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah. How about you, Zoe? Like, do you think that do you have any advice?
Yeah, I think find out what you don't like. So remove all that, and maybe it will tell you what you like. Because I sometimes find like people are very confused about what they're interested in. So maybe start by finding out what puts you off or what you don't like, and go from there.
That's a very good answer. Lan, I think you would agree, right? Because you also said just now that it was a process of like just finding out what you don't like.
Yeah, I think so, and I think more like we should listen to ourselves, like because the voice is still there inside. So just know the way how to discover it.
But what if you don't know? If you don't have that sureness of yourself?
I think maybe like we might try some different way to evoke it, like maybe writing or just to observe something and then. I mean, it's not really just only happen with filmmaking. It can happen with any kind of creating arts, like painting or other things.
Wow, spoken like a true artist. Yeah, Yossi, do you agree, or any advice for how do they kind of like establish their own identity and voice?
I don't know. I mean, I cannot have any advice. But what I say, I mean, like, I still copy somebody work. I mean, I cannot advise.
Yeah, but I think that's also fine because a lot of filmmakers, they are inspired by other people to make films. Like Moonlight was clearly inspired by Wong Kar-wai. I mean, in fact, he copies part of it from Wong Kar-wai. I mean, like a lot of times, your journey as a filmmaker can also start from somewhere else, from other people's works and being inspired. Tarantino does that a lot too. My advice personally is to watch a lot of films because you can't really be a filmmaker if you don't know what's out there. And a lot of filmmakers who are young filmmakers tell me, oh, this is so great. And I'm like, yeah, but I've seen this like back in the 70s. Ingmar Bergman already made something much more crazy than this. This is not that crazy. So learning about films, I think, is really very important. So just watch a lot of old films, not just new ones. And, just watch a lot of old films and not just films from Southeast Asia. Watch all kinds of crazy things, I love Eastern European films, for example. I love, Hungarian films. I love Russian films, yeah. Miklos Jankso is one of my favorite directors. And most people don't know who he is. Okay, for those who grew up or studied abroad, how did you cultivate filmmaking communities or find collaborators after returning to Southeast Asia? Okay, this is, I think, really specific to Amanda and maybe a bit of Zoe. Yeah, Amanda?
Okay. Yeah, so like I said before, I studied abroad, I grew up abroad, and I wanted to make my first short back in Malaysia. I didn't know anybody, and I actually just Facebooked everyone in the industry, and anyone who replied was, really helpful, and they would just put me in touch with the other filmmakers here, and I managed to put a short film together. So yeah, I think the thing is just don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid. I think networking is a huge deal. You know, just put yourself out there. Like in Malaysia, there used to be this like short film screening every month, and I would go there. I'd be so shy, and I'd try to like talk to people. And I think you just have to put yourself there in all these like kind of film communities, film screenings, and start your network. Yeah.
You're shy?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, Zue, of course, your situation is a bit different because you already are from Singapore before you went to Le Panois. But any comments on that?
Yeah, I think my journey started a little bit different. I really wanted to make films, but I didn't know how because I didn't know anybody in the industry as well when I was in Singapore. So what I did was I went to every production company and just cold call. I just went there and I would speak to them and say, oh, I'm interested in filmmaking. I would like to learn. But nobody ever got back to me. I mean, they just said, oh, thank you, but we're not looking. And finally, I decided to just go to film school because I realized that was one way to make films because I really didn't know anything about filmmaking at that point. So I guess film school helped me because I managed to make outing. And when I went to France, I really kind of, when I was in, just to backtrack a little bit, when I was in LaSalle, Fran Borgia was my teacher, one of my visiting professors. Okay. So he managed to see outing and waiting, and I think he liked them. So he said, you know, send me the script of your next short film, you know, let's speak. And then I went to France. And when I was studying in France, Jeremy Chua, who's another one of my producers, he was in Paris at the time. And so we hung out a lot. So I guess I kind of already when I came back, I kind of knew that I would kind of ask them if they were interested in making my feature. So I asked them and they agreed. So that's how I went about it.
Yeah, I mean that's slightly different. But for me, maybe I can also answer this question because I went to school in the US, right? So I'm actually like I didn't grow up most of the time in Asia. And originally I was born in Hong Kong, actually, despite my last name. People think I'm Thai, but actually originally I'm from Hong Kong. So when I went back to Hong Kong, and I'm a computer engineer by degree, by the way, I never studied film, never. And when I went back to Hong Kong, I just started volunteering for festivals. When I was in San Francisco, I already started to volunteer for festivals. And I used to go drive an hour and a half to Berkeley to the Pacific Film Archive. And I would watch like, you know, really obscure, old retrospectives of like Mizoguchi or like Andrzej Munk, this Polish director who basically died, or like, you know, that's when I discovered like Miklos Jankso. And I volunteered for San Francisco Film Festival. I met directors, like I met Stanley Kwan because I speak Cantonese, so I was translating for him. And he just kind of said, oh, if you're ever in Hong Kong, you know, you can look me up. So I went back to Hong Kong and I looked him up. And in many ways, that's how I started. So I started volunteering for the Hong Kong Film Festival. And then I got my first job working for the Hong Kong Film Festival. And that's how it started. So I am half Thai, so I do speak Thai. But yeah. So I think that basically it's just a matter of, even if you grew up abroad, you just come back and you just try to volunteer and to meet people, like what Amanda said. So anyways, next. Okay, we are out of time, but because we can go a little bit longer because our next session is not until 8, the last panel that we have for today. So we'll just continue until about 6:30. We have only 3 more questions. So the next one is, okay, did you like all of the short films that you made before? Interesting. Seeing that you have all grown as filmmakers since you made those films, even close to a decade for some here. Lan, what do you think? Did you like all the short films you made before?
So now, I think for the story ones, the first film I made, then I really like when I watch it, and I do not want to change anything for that. But for some short fiction, then what I think it's because I took a lot of time to make it. Like sometimes it takes like 3 or 6 months. So I think it's really hard for me to watch it just after it finished. So it often takes like 1 year for me to kind of enjoy it again.
But that's interesting because like your first short film is the only one that you feel that you wouldn't change a single frame in, right?
Yeah.
So that wow, that's interesting. So yeah, that kind of like is an interesting answer to the question because sometimes even though you grew, but in some ways the first work is maybe the thing that you feel is the most perfect. You'll see. What do you think? What did you like all the short films you made before?
Different feeling, but like because I made many short, and
Yeah.
when you before this question come, I mean I haven't watched my student film for long time already, so I don't know that I still like it or not. But like if the professional work, I think I quite kind of like it all, and but if I watch it when my film got like that perspective, sometimes I also in the theater and I also watch my own film again and like I was thinking about like should I do that, should I not do that, something like that in that way. But in the end I think I quite like it all. But yeah, but I don't mention about my university work yet.
Yeah, because you basically made like maybe already nearly 20 shorts, I think, in total. It's just that you just don't mention a lot of them in some ways, but the thing is you've actually made a lot. So
yeah.
But
like I mean another problem, I mean it's not about I mean when I finished with benefit, without benefit, at first I didn't like it at all. I don't want to watch that film. I feel like it's so yuck. It's like But after a while, when it passed like 4 months again, and I watched it in theater, I okay, and I like it, something like that. That's how I change feeling. Yeah.
That's good. Zway, what do you think? Because of course, like we showed Outing, and like that's like a film that's like over 10 years old. So yeah, what do you think about your previous films?
Yeah, I feel differently about them at different stages. I feel like with Outing, I don't like it. I at first when I finished it, I didn't want to show it at all. It was my producer who persuaded me to send it to festivals because I kind of felt like I missed the ball on some things. But now recently I started screening the short Outing at senior activity centers in Singapore because I do like a little presentation because I'm doing a little bit of casting. And now watching it back again, I realized that I'm grateful for the experiences I had making the film, with the actor. I mean, it made me love directing actors because it was such a good experience. So I remember like the good things now, and I'm more comfortable with them now. But if you ask me like 5 years ago, I don't know. I would probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, and in some ways you look at it more as basically a growth process, right? Rather than basically like it as a because it's hard to be objective about one's own work, I think, right? So you kind of view it more as a growth process rather than as an individual film, right? Do you think?
Yeah, I think like, but I usually like usually just after the film is made and when it's screened at festivals, I have difficulty watching it because I always think like, is this the best I could have done? Should I have changed this? So I try not to watch them immediately after they are finished. Only maybe much later, and then I find it easier to rewatch the films I've made.
Yeah. Amanda, do you feel similarly?
Yeah, so quite similar to Zway. I don't actually like watching any of my films at all. It's like really painful. But I had to make those films. Like watching back, I mean, I even screened like a film in Singapore once that was like one of my university projects, and it was so weird to see it, but it was also really nice to see like like my voice then, and what are the similarities with me now, and the growth of how I became as a filmmaker. So yeah, I wouldn't say I don't know. I don't like watching my short films anymore.
No, that's fair enough. A lot of people don't. A lot of my filmmakers sometimes they say that I never watch my films afterwards, and that's fair enough. Next question is for me. Hi Raymond, is there any short film development at Seafic? Answer: no. Next. True. Okay, next. It is notoriously hard to fund films in Southeast Asia. Have you ever found that you had to compromise your vision or story due to limited budget? Okay, interesting. I think for your feature films, I think none of you guys have to worry about that because they're all pretty big co-productions. But yeah, I mean, I leave it to you guys. Amanda, what do you think? Did you have to compromise?
right now, no, but let's see how COVID goes. Because I think with COVID now, there's a lot of compromising. There's a lot of limitations. Our budgets are kind of slashed a bit because of protocol and testing, blah, blah, blah. But the question was like about limitations of funding. I think even with the limited budget, I mean, we were talking about knowing what we wanted to say. I think that's the most important thing. And whatever the case is, we'll try to make our film. But I don't know, because, my film is quite nicely funded. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like, you got a lot of money from Malaysia. I know. You got regional funding from Germany.
But I do understand it's really hard to fund films. And I think a lot of us, we didn't go the studio way because we didn't want to compromise our vision. So hence the co-production.
Right. And I think you'd agree on the COVID thing for sure, right? Because I think that's your biggest enemy right now, because you're having a lot of funding problems because of COVID.
Yeah, that's true. But I quite agree in what Amanda said. But in the end, I still compromise a lot because we have already this budget. Let's consider it already compromised, but like not compromised in the studio way, something like that. Let's just say. Yeah.
It's still basically you didn't compromise your vision and story. It's just that you have to maybe like make some. Well, I mean, you did, but it's still your vision and story, right? That's what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, I might admit that I'm really good at one thing is to take benefit from things. Even I can short film in this bedroom before, and that's how I can make every film from whatever what we have, and like that. I don't know this is answer or not, but like yeah. But that film with no budget. If we don't count that, I dropped the camera.
Yeah, I mean, he made a film that was in his bedroom, and it was in Locarno short film competition. So who knows? Lan, do you also feel that you like, have you ever felt like you had to compromise because of limited budget, or not yet?
I don't know. During this time, then I just shift my interest in just do writing. So I'm not really feel like I would like to go out and make they shoot another short film or something. So yeah, but
okay. So you don't feel like basically you are under pressure or anything like that right now? Not really. Okay. So way, do you feel the same? Like, like do you think you have to compromise, or?
Yeah, I think because of COVID probably, but as long as I know the essence and I know what I want to say, and I think I look at this as challenge. I'm sure at some point maybe my producer will say to me, "Oh, we can't do it like this." Then we can sit down and discuss how we can do it in another way. I don't think I'm afraid of that, but I'm sure with COVID and quarantines and stuff, expenses increase, and probably I think I might have to. Yeah.
So everybody's answer is nearly the same. It's just that basically the budget limit comes from COVID. So yeah. Risky asks, for those who started in docu-filmmaking, how do you make your transition into narrative or fiction? Is it still a big influence in your work? I think the two people would be Yossi and Lan, because you guys are more like, you started doing docus first, or hybrid docus and stuff like that, right? So Lan, like how do you make the transition, or is it just like, or you didn't really transition?
I think some of the interesting that documentary give me, let's say, it teach me how to use the eyes, how to observe things. So when changing to narrative films, and still keep remaining that. But when changing to narrative films, then I think I have to face to something different, like how to build the crew and how to organize and talk to different people, because the scales become more. So
yeah, but I think that's very true, because your films are very observant, even in your fiction film, and in many ways, when you started doing your docu, it kind of comes from that. It's like, how you observe human nature or architecture, or like the space that you have, right? So yeah, Yossi, do you agree?
For me, it's a bit not that way, because actually I start with fiction first, but I just sometimes did documentary.
Okay.
But So, but I don't know. I mean, I think documentary is is good. I mean, we just don't need to directing the acting. That's a good thing. It is the same. Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually like I haven't seen your really early films. I mean, the earliest stuff I saw was back in 2010, your docu, and also your kind of like experimental short. So that's why, it would be interesting to see where you come from. Your really true early like fiction shorts. But
Yeah,
I
I think if you watch the letter of the color
Color.
by, it's
Right.
it's like so actually I just went to the mob with my friend and
Right.
I just like, hey, be my actor, but you do nothing, you just enjoy your mob with yourself, and I just snap it, and then we write a script after and voice over, and then it become first fiction. I mean, not first fiction, but it become fiction from documentary footage.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Hybrid.
think that yeah, let's just say a hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Good. Next one. Have you had circumstances where you had to change what your initial intention was after shooting your short film and during post?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Like even sometimes it come from the audience. Like some audience give me a comment, and I also take this as my reason. So when you make film, thing when it's like the open film, it's like you can think whatever. So yeah. So I change intention. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You guys are the same? Like, anybody else wants to chime in? Yeah. Or not really? Or
I do not face that changing after shooting, but during the shooting, sometimes we met some serious problems. So actually, we changed script a lot. Yeah.
or you even change the color of your film because, for example, with Blessed Land, you changed it to black and white during post, right? Yeah.
No, it's
Because
not really during post, but it's during the shooting days.
okay. Yeah, because sometimes, I think a lot of times, like on-set difficulties can then basically sometimes have a big effect on what the film ends up being. Yeah, Amanda, Zui.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the whole, things happen and you change. So I've also had to like change scripts, on the day of shoot. I've had to ask actors to go home because I don't need them anymore. But in terms of intention, I think the intention stays the same. I think it's the reason why I'm able to adapt and change so quickly is because I have an intention and I know what that intention is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Same. I mean, I have had to change. In fact, I changed the ending of my second short film on the day itself on the set. But I mean, as the basic premise remains the same for me. Like I knew, like Amanda said, I know what the intention is. So I think that allows you to crystallize it into the scenes. If you feel something is not working, it's because of your intention, like what you want to say, and you kind of know on the day itself, when you're shooting it, it's not what you want to say. So you have to adapt to kind of on the spot to kind of change it to something that will be cohesive with the rest of the film.
All right. Okay, one last question. Sorry, we're actually way over time. But anyways, just one more. Do you feel that short films is an art form in itself, or just a stepping stone toward making feature films? I think Yossi will definitely say that it stands by itself, probably because you like making short films, no?
Yeah. Right. But
Okay.
I might say some people think that short film is just like another step before making feature film, but like, it's up to them. I don't have a problem with those people, but I just think that short film is its own art form itself.
Yeah. I think Lan would agree with Yossi, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Amanda, Tsue, yeah.
Yeah, I think it can be both, basically.
Yeah. Tsue.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I would still like to make short films. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's a good way to end it. So that's why, even though they're making feature films, but they still want to make short films, and I think that speaks a lot to the fact that short film is still a viable way to basically self-express. So it's not just like oh, I don't want to do short films. I think that ultimately any kind of expression, whether it be long or short, is valid as long as it's appreciated and people are seeing it, and it's a way to let out your creative energy. So great. On that note, thank you so much, guys, for this intensive panel, and thank you very much for everybody for listening. Our next panel will be at 8 o'clock, so you have a bit of time for dinner. And then that one should be really fun because we have 4 filmmakers who are already shot their film and are in post-production, so hopefully you'll get to see them very soon, but they're right in the middle of it. So let's ask them how it feels about their co-production and like what kind of pain they're going through. So okay, thank you guys. Thanks to Yossi, Lan, Amanda, Zue for this.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you for your films as well. So okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Lemon
ไปแล้วอ่ะ
อ๋อดิวอยู่ป่ะ
อยู่ครับว่า
อยากเข้าอันนั้นได้เว้ยไม่ได้รีจิสเตอร์ได้ป่ะวะ
อะไรนะ
อยากไปฟังคาโลเราเพิ่งรู้อ่ะเราไม่ได้เช็คตารางเลยแล้วเราว่าง
ของงานงาน
ทอล์กหน้าเนี่ย
ได้เดี๋ยวผมส่งไป
ขอหน่อยแค่นั้น
ได้โอเคบ๊ายบาย
ขอบคุณมากขอบคุณบ๊ายบายครับ
แซวพี่ปู
อ๋อโอเคครับพี่ปูสวัสดีครับ